I think most of us are aware by now that college is a scam, and that though the previous generation, especially that came before mine, the millennial generation, had the best intentions when they urged us to go to college, because, when they were growing up, that was the thing that was the most likely to bring you to success during their era of time. They had good intentions. Ultimately, they kind of screwed us because as more and more and more people went to college, more and more people took advantage of that opportunity when it comes to the college side of trying to exploit people and try to figure out new ways of extracting more and more money. And obviously that's a whole crap show that, plenty of other content creators have discussed ad nauseum. That is not what I want to discuss today. What I want to discuss today is specifically the add-on effect that came from that mentality back in the day that is paying really negative dividends now when it comes to our workforce. And what I'm trying to get at is that not only did it turn out to be this horrible bad thing that the idea of college being the only real pathway to success put a lot of people into a lot of financial debt and steered people away from jobs that could have been financially lucrative for them. That's well known and established, and it's not really even open to debate anymore when you look at trade jobs that are making six figures plus a year. What I really want to talk about is the happiness index that was destroyed by this mentality over the course of time, and why that mentality has made it so much more difficult for people like me who actually don't want to do manual labor jobs, not because I look down on them or I think that they're not successful. It's just not the kind of work I enjoy doing. I have always been obsessed with computers and that kind of stuff, and that's really what I've been wanting to focus on with my life because that's what I'm interested in. Some people are interested in cars, some people are actually interested in building houses, some people are interested in those things, that's what they like. But they were indoctrinated in the idea that those jobs were not future-proof, they weren't going to lead them to successful careers, and so rather than following things they might have been interested in, they were pushed in the direction of college. And what kind of jobs did college what kind of jobs does college point you towards? And in general, it's going to be something tech-related, something business-related, something maybe art-related. It's going to be something that especially people who are part of that community consider high-minded fields. And the problem with that is just like with anything in the world, there's only so much available to you in the world, period, regardless of what category you're talking about. So if you're looking at money, obviously, we can print as much money as we want, but the value that that money represents only has a limited quantity. There's a reason why gold is worth as much. You can buy as much with gold today as you could 100 years ago because gold has a finite quantity, which gives it a finite value, and that doesn't really change significantly over time. The same is true when it comes to things like jobs. Every industry only really has a certain number of opportunities available to you. And the problem that we're having today is that rather than people being able to go and find the kind of job that they want, they were kind of my generation specifically. The Gen Z guys, they seem to have it covered. They understand that, hey, maybe going to college isn't the right thing for me. Maybe I should be focusing on trying to become a welder or becoming whatever kind of trade-specific job that is in high demand that actually they're interested in. And that's the thing. Well, I'll get to that in a second. The problem that we have now, especially my generation was so indoctrinated in the idea that you needed to go to college and you need to go get some kind of an office-related job. And the problem with that is that if everybody's trying to get an office-related job, if everybody thinks that they're supposed to have an office-related job, then those of us who actually want to do office-related work or who want to do computer-related work, because that's what we're actually interested in, we have to compete with all these other people, all these extra people who don't really want to do the job. They're just doing it because they were told and they were brought up to believe that that's the kind of job they should have been seeking. And the problem is that I think that when you watch the movie Office Space, this is not a weird random tangent, this is making a point. When you watch the end of the movie Office Space, the main character in that story does not go back to his cushy office job that bored him to tears. He decides he wants to go do construction because he's working outside, he's working with his hands, he feels like he's accomplishing something, and he's happier in the end because he's doing a job that means something to him. And that's the thing. My generation was brought up with this idea that manual labor jobs were somehow beneath us. And while there are many of my generation, and I include myself in this group, who do not want to do manual labor, again, not because I think it's a bad thing, it's just I'm not interested in it. I get bored doing tasks with my hands. I love working with computers. That's what I'm interested in. If you are a manual labor person, that is amazing. You should focus on that. You know, the world needs people who do different things. And the reality of life is that not everybody wants to do an office job. A lot of people don't want to do an office job. A lot of people don't want to do a business job. A lot of people don't want to own a business. They just want to go to work and earn a paycheck and then go home and live their life. And they're perfectly content with that. But my generation especially was indoctrinated to believe that we needed to push harder and reach higher and do all of these things. And all of us needed to go pursue these specific careers because if you wanted to make it in the world, you had to go work in an office. And it's like, all that did was, A, encourage people to go to college who ended up pursuing degrees that really weren't good for them because they weren't really interested in it. They were just chasing a secure future. They weren't even greedy. They were just chasing a secure future. And they got tricked into doing this thing by people who didn't know what they were talking about. And that's the problem that we have today. Like even right now, obviously AI, especially in my area of expertise, which is, you know, computer related administrative work and, you know, that kind of stuff. It's under threat by that. So jobs are disappearing because of that. But it's also just the fact that everybody's trying to get a work from home or office job or whatever because they think that's what they're supposed to go for. They've been tricked into believing that they'd be happy doing that. And it makes it much harder for the people who actually want to do that because now instead of fighting the group of people who are only interested in doing that kind of work, I'm also fighting people who are just going after that job because either A, they think that it's what they want and they think that that's what they should be doing because that's their pathway to rise up and get success, or B, they just, you know, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. The point is that the pool of people trying to go into the job that I'm actually interested in, which is computer related, either administrative work or things like I don't love administrative work, but it's something I'm reasonably good at and I'm able to get a lot done and I'm very productive when I do it. And one of the reasons why I've been a really favorite employee of the various employers that I've worked at, even though they don't necessarily like my attitude, because I do have a very why the hell are we doing it this way kind of mentality. And I don't have a lot of patience for things that inconvenience me. And I'm not afraid to make that known. So employers put up with my attitude because I get a lot of crap done. And so the point I'm really trying to make here is two things. First and foremost, the attitude of trying to get everybody to go to college and go get these office-related jobs has made it so that people who might have otherwise considered other careers never considered those careers. They lumped into careers that were better suited for people like me, and it makes it much harder for people like me to find the kind of job that I'm looking for because there's all these extra people clamoring for that same position. And B, the main story that's been out on the internet for a long time now, it screwed people over financially because they acquired these mountains of debt that they're never going to be able to pay off because there's so many people looking for the same kinds of jobs, because we all got funneled into the same kinds of jobs by a generation of people who thought they knew what was going to happen and they made bad choices. So here's the moral of the story, the moral of this video, the thing that we all need to take away from this particular problem that we find ourselves stuck in. The answer to any question is never to lump people into a group. We are individual people. You are your own person, and I don't care how similar you might be to somebody else, you still are unique, and you have your own wants and desires, and you are specifically good at whatever it is that you decide that you want to put your effort into, that you're interested in. If you're forced into a career that you don't really care about, but you're told that this is the choice that you should make, you're not going to put your best effort into it because you don't care. So as a person who is an adult trying to bring up another generation, what we should be telling our children is not go after this thing because it gives you the best chance of success. It needs to be, you need to figure out what you want to do with your life and then we will help you figure out the best way to capitalize on that. So that way people can go and figure out what they want to do, which brings me into the second thing that we need to be teaching our children, which is not everybody wants the same thing. I personally want to do a circumnavigation and sail around the world. The vast majority of people in the world have no interest in that. That's not something that they're interested in. Most people aren't interested in trying to fly airplanes. Most people aren't interested in sailing boats. Most people aren't interested in living in an RV, which I live in, right? Every single person has their own idea of what a good life looks like. There's a lot of people out in the world who have no interest in owning a mansion, not even on their radar. Because to them, money doesn't mean much, and that's fine for them. So I think we really need to get away from the idea that here is the ideal that you should be striving for, because the ideal is different for every person. And our education system needs to stop focusing on these cookie cutter ideas of what we should be molding people into and start focusing on who are you as a person? What are you good at? What are you interested in? Let's figure out a way to get you into that so that you can make a productive life and also gain a sense of meaning out of it. So that's all I wanted to say for today. It's been weighing on me all for like the last several hours, and I wanted to make a video on it. So hopefully that makes sense. Hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers for this channel. Head over to the gaming channel, check out the videos over there, and subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers over there. And yeah, so that's all I had to say for today. Hopefully you got something out of it, and I'll see you for the next one.